Yes, I'm super excited to share with everyone. Everyone, Taiia is a dear friend of mine that I have known for, am I allowed to tell
Forever.
yet? I'm not
You
allowed
can
to tell.
say it. Let's
It's
say
been
it.
many moons. So she has been such a great friend, a great girlfriend, and just an inspiration, honestly, especially with her new project, her self-love journal, Love You Mean It. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how journaling can be a form of healing and self-love and just a great practice to have. I mean, we'll talk about how long she and I have been journaling separately, but how long she and I have been journaling and how much it's meant to us. But this is a great episode or conversation for you to listen to. If you already journal, because Taiia has some great prompts for you, that some things you probably haven't talked about,
Yes.
or if you're just starting out, right? And we're going to talk about the quote unquote right way and wrong way to journal, which I'm sure you can probably guess there is no wrong way. Spoiler alert, there is no wrong way. But I want to tell you a little bit about Taiia before we jump in. So Taiia, who I call T, so if you hear me say T, that's what I'm talking about. Taiia Smart Young is a writer, editor, author, and director of content for Smart Girl Media. She teaches aspiring authors how to use their experience and expertise to write and self-publish short but powerful books that create influence, impact, and income. She has held senior editor positions at Essence, which is where we met,
Yes.
Juicy, Double XL, and Latino magazines and websites. Her byline has also appeared in Verizon.com, MadameNoir.com, HelloBeautiful.com, and Bustle.com. Taiia is the master of reframing negative self-talk that creeps into your head. Let me say that again. The master at reframing negative self-talk that creeps into your head, which we all have. And she created the Love You Mean It, a self-love journal to inspire women to write kick-ass love notes to themselves. So again, Taiia, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so
Yay.
excited to be here. Like
So
everyone
excited
is
to have
on.
you.
This is like the podcast to be on. Okay.
Well, yes, it is. Thank you. So tell us, Taiia, when did you first start journaling? When did you first fall in love with journaling?
I have always thought of myself as a writer. Even in elementary school, I told my mother that's what I wanted to be. And so I have loved journaling ever since elementary school, and just like always was telling a story, whether it was about myself or some characters that I had made up. Always loved notebooks, like had a bunch of those black and white composition notebooks, and would like label them for different things. Like one would be like my journal, one would be for characters, one would be for dreams. So I was very like organized about how I thought my life was supposed to go, and journaling has always been a part of it. But I was always scared too, that like, because when the minute that I read Anne Frank, and I was like, wait a minute, somebody found her journals and published them.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I'm not so sure that things are going to work out the same way for me if someone publishes this journal. I think I'm going to make some people upset if they read this journal. So
Right.
sometimes I would just end up throwing them away.
Oh my gosh, that breaks every time you say that, it breaks my heart. I'm like, oh my gosh, you do. I've had my journals, I have them dating back. Well, I don't have all of them. I think I told you my Hello Kitty diary when I was like 10 years old, even though it could be around somewhere. Who knows? It might pop up one day. Hopefully not in the media. But I have
Hopefully not published,
hopefully
right?
not published exactly. But I think my journals dating back to like 1989. That's as far back as I
Wow.
have. Yes, knock on wood. Hopefully they're still
Back when
good
you
in
were a
storage.
rapper.
Back when I was a rapper. Easy E. No, that was taken. Evil E. I think I was Evil E for real. Even though I was nowhere
I
near
was
evil. I
sweet
don't know.
tea. Everybody, we all had a rap
You
name
were
back then.
sweet
I was sweet
tea.
tea.
Of course
Come
you were
on.
sweet tea. You were sweet tea. I think I was evil E. I probably have a sweatshirt somewhere. I had a sweatshirt that said that. Why it was always evil or sweet?
I don't know.
I don't know. With the
I
girl,
think we were lazy back then. But then if
right?
you think about it now, like everybody's little, young.
Oh,
I guess it just goes through its waves.
everybody's little,
Yeah.
even when they're not little.
Even when they're not
Actually,
little.
they're Lil, right? They're
So,
Lil.
right. It's
Okay, I'm
so
showing my age right now. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So now tell me, when did it become clear for you that journaling was like a form of healing or self-love, or even if you didn't, maybe you didn't have that language at the time, or maybe you weren't thinking about it that way. But when did you know that journaling was something that was like a safe space for you?
I think probably in late in middle school, or maybe even like my first year of high school. It's just that journaling became this place for me to be safe with my thoughts. I think as I started to, when you go through like the awkward stage and you're trying to fit in, And I definitely, I went to like one of the, I don't want to say most dangerous high schools in New York City, but it probably had that reputation in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just convinced that, oh, that was the place that I needed to be because I had heard they had a writing program. Never mind, I wasn't thinking about, like Decepticons and gangs and all that kind of stuff. Oh,
Right.
they got a writing program. Who cares about all the other stuff? So I think as I was making the transition to figuring myself out, probably from middle school to high school, I used writing really as a chance to reflect and have a safe space for me to be and figure out who I was. Like I didn't have all the latest clothes. So, this is back when girls had the Gucci boots and the gold hoops. I didn't have all of that. So who am I? And can I be
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in this skin knowing that I don't have all those things? And so sometimes I didn't always have a friend to talk to about what was going on in my head and would really fear judgment. And I just feel like the page is not going to judge me. My
Right.
notebook is not going to judge me. And that's really where I started to just channel my energy into writing these things to myself. And also too, you just made me remember that my friends and we used to write letters to each other.
Yes, we did too.
Remember that?
Yes.
My girlfriend Dina and I and my girlfriend Juanita, we used to write these really long, and
Long
that's
letters.
like a lost art right now because we're so busy sending emails. But it's like these really long letters that were so expressive about whatever what was going on, like about boyfriends, about family issues. And we would just write each other back and be encouraging. And that's something that now that you made me think about this, that it's really missed.
Yeah, and that would be sweet to do right now. It's so funny. I just like going through the garage, my parents' garage, and I found a letter from. It was either a letter to all of us, but I remember there was my girlfriends from college. I wrote them a letter to tell them all that I was moving back from Georgia back to New York after college. I'm from New York, as you well know. Lived in Georgia,
Right.
then went to Hampton, came back here for a little while, and I was like, I'm moving. But I actually wrote them all a letter, made photocopies of the letter and wrote them all.
Wow.
Can you imagine now you just send somebody a text message in like 3 minutes?
Right.
So this
I'm
means
out.
days later they were finding out. But like you said, it's a lost art and it's something that yeah, we just, I guess people, we don't, well, we didn't think we have, now we have the time.
Right. No,
Now we
one
got
of
time.
my friends it has her own nonprofit, and she had one of the things that she just posted on Instagram, which I'm going to do, is she's asking people to write letters to healthcare workers
Oh,
and
I
just
love
to give
that.
them something to lift their spirits and let them know how much we appreciate them. And I was like, sign me up.
That's
She
a
said, I'm
great
going to,
idea.
and she's sending stationery and stamps so that I can just mail it off. And so she's made it so streamlined and simple. And it's like, oh, that's a beautiful way for me to just express my gratitude to someone. Because even my mom, like she works in a clinic. And so her being 65 and going into a clinic every
Mm.
day to work, she's putting herself at risk. And so you just want to appreciate those folks, because we're working from home. We have to get outside to get none of the coronas.
That's
We
right.
stay
And it's
inside.
crazy that the healthcare workers for sure, but then, now we're starting to, hopefully people are starting to see the grocery store workers and the
Yes.
taxi drivers or the public transportation or all these folks that we kind of, not that we ignore them, but you definitely take for granted, or you just think everybody's just working doing their thing. These people are crucial to our
Crucial.
survival, like the people who
Yes.
stock the shelves and the folks who drive the trucks that get the groceries to, all these
Where would
invisible
we
people.
be? Where would we be if we didn't have them right now?
Right. If they all were like, forget this, I'm not putting like you said, putting your life at
Right.
risk.
Right. So
Yes.
appreciative of that. So
I love that.
I'm
So
gonna be writing
who's doing
some.
that?
Let me make sure I get her
I know we don't want to
incorrect. I
we don't
don't want to get
overwhelm her,
right.
but
I don't want
yeah,
to
but I like
say
that.
the wrong name on Instagram, but it is at Urban National on
Urban
Instagram.
National. All right.
Hmm.
If she's still doing it by the time you all hear this, Urban
Right,
National. That's
right.
amazing. I might
And
reach out to her and be
and
like, I
she's
want to do it.
yes, do it, because she says she's all about supporting the leadership development of Black change makers in urban spaces. And change makers in the traditional sense, right? Because she invited me to this like dinner, and I was like, oh, I'm not a change maker. And she was like, you absolutely are. She was like, what you do with Rock Your College Essay, she was like, you're helping students to master the art of writing their essay. And I was like, that's right, I am
That's
a
right,
change
I am.
maker.
Invite me. Where's my
Thank you
ticket?
for reminding
Come
me. So yeah, so she is doing this letter writing campaign, and I think it's wonderful.
I think it's wonderful too that people, all of us really are trying to find our way, a way of contributing or supporting or offering, like me with these conversations and doing video and bringing women on like you to talk about self-love or finances or mental health, anxiety. Just,
Right,
we're all trying to sort of figure out what our way is going to be, right? And for anyone listening, it doesn't have to be a huge, big campaign,
right,
right? It
not
could
at
be
all.
anything. I think just to get back to with the journal, it's the same kind of thing. Like when people, I think sometimes we can get, what do you think, overwhelmed by this idea of self-love, self-care, like it has to be, a week at a resort, at a spa or something
No.
like that. And then I think Love You Mean It, your journals are the perfect example of how it could just be a nice note to yourself, a
Right. It
loving
could,
note to yourself.
right. Like I think because I just had an old school approach with it, just like I want women to write notes to themselves, write these reminders to themselves. Because in my experience, when I talk to my girlfriends, it's like you say congratulations to them on the project, the promotion, and they're like, yeah, but I didn't do it in the time that I wanted to. And it's like, okay, so maybe it took 6 months longer, but who cares? You're here now, you're the vice president, you got the budget, you did the thing. And it's like, we don't celebrate that enough. We always go to the place of remembering every single mistake, the things that we said wrong, the things that we did wrong, the things that we didn't do. And I really just wanted to have a journal and a space to celebrate all of the good things. Like there's one of my favorite sections is called Love Bites. And so it's just a chance to write 5 things to yourself. And one of my favorite love bites is mirror talk. So I do this thing where I talk to myself in the mirror. I have my music going in the bathroom. I might be doing my hair or my makeup. And it's a way for me to pump up tea, right? Maybe I am
Pump up
feeling,
tea, like
maybe I
Issa
am,
Rae.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So when Issa Rae does that on Insecure, I'm like,
It's
girl,
me.
that is me. That
Right.
is me. Because I'm talking like, who better to pump you up than yourself, because you know exactly what you want to accomplish, what you want to look like, right? Or you're like, girl, my hair, these edges today, I'm looking at my little bun right now. I'm like, my bun is really,
My butt is popping.
my bun is, she is 8 days old and she is still popping. So thank you, bun, right? We want to thank the bun, but it's like the 5 things that you need to say to like lift your own spirit. We turn to so many other sources to lift our spirits, and that's great, but what can you say to yourself, what can you write to yourself to lift your own spirit?
I love that. And is it something that you do even if you're not like necessarily going out for, the big gig or the big
Yes.
thing? Is it just something you do just to lift yourself up no matter what? So people listening can use this anytime.
Anytime, right? It doesn't mean that you're going in to ask for that, the deal with the brands or the sponsorship, and you got to pump yourself up that way. Maybe it's just a matter of, what, I need to have this conversation with my boo, and I'm not
Mm.
quite sure how to approach this conversation. So we're just gonna set the mood with some music. We're gonna rehearse the script. And then it's like you catch yourself because you're like, I shouldn't say that word because that word's gonna make her pissed, or I
Mhm.
shouldn't say that word because that's gonna make him pissed. And it's like just be it. I think it helps us to be a little bit more thoughtful and careful with ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing, is that what I want to women to take away from this is just to be careful with ourselves. We treat other women and other people with so much love and care, and we're compassionate, and we're like, oh, you'll do it next time. But when it comes to ourselves, we do not offer and extend that same kind of love.
Absolutely. So tell us then what prompted you, speaking of prompts, what prompted you to then to create an actual journal out of this, basically your self-love practice.
I think when I turned 40, I realized, and shout out to Erica Badu, because I think she was the first person I saw on Instagram, like say, after you turn 40, you get this filter, and it's like you're not here for the shenanigans anymore. You say what you mean, you're very direct with people, not to hurt people's feelings, but you really start putting yourself first. And I think sometimes as women, as mothers, as nurturers, as sisters, as daughters, we don't necessarily put ourselves first. So that, I think it started to happen, in my early 40s, because I'm at level 47 right now.
Level 47.
Level 47. And I started to realize that me being direct about what I need and what I want, whether it's relationship or business or with family, it helps me to set up this imaginary boundary around myself. And that imaginary boundary is filled with love, because here's where I need to protect myself. Maybe you didn't realize that the things you were saying to me were hurtful, or you didn't realize that every time you need me, I come to your rescue, but when I need you, you're not available. And so again, these imaginary, that's what self-love is. Self-love is, to me anyway, my definition is self-acceptance, and then realizing that, it's okay to create these boundaries around yourself in terms of limits and how far you'll let someone go into your space. And sometimes that includes family, and that includes friends. And so for me, once I started to realize that that's what I needed, I was like, I'm probably not alone. I probably have a friend or two that could benefit from seeing this journal. And I was like, wait a minute, let me put something together. And it was funny because I'm a big fan of printing out my photos. Like, that's, again, so old school. Who prints out photos? Because we just have photos in our phone. But I'm so paranoid that one day I might pick up my phone and all the pictures are gone. So all the memories are gone. So I print out stacks and stacks of photos. I have this free app that I love called Free Prints, and you just pay for shipping. So, but they had this promotion like for a journal one time. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna put my picture on a journal. And as I started talking about it, I was like, why don't I create a journal? Because my brother saw it. I had posted it on Instagram, and my brother was like, oh, is this available for purchase? I was like, yeah, like people are going to want to buy a journal with my face on it. Like,
wait, so this thing prints it out in a journal form?
I am going to show you it because I have it on my desk. It's one of my
know, that's crazy.
favorite
I'm like, I need to get that because now I'm paranoid about my pictures disappearing.
Okay, so look at this.
Oh my goodness.
I picked like my favorite picture of me at the time. And this is my little hashtag that I use on Instagram. And so this is a journal. I think
hashtag is YeahWrite.
Exactly. And like, look at this. Isn't this fun?
So, and then it's just blank pages inside?
It's just blank. I have not blessed these pages yet, but they are
blank. That picture of you is amazing. And what's it called? Free print?
Free Prints. Yes. It's when you go to the App Store, I believe it's like a light blue with a butterfly
app. Taiia putting us up on game, everybody. Now y'all all going to have journals with your face on it.
Because what would you do if, like, say for instance, you just had a party for your mom, right?
Right.
And so you probably have all those pictures in your phone.
In my phone, that's right. And I keep talking about getting them printed.
Thank you. You would be devastated if something happened to your phone crashed, and you didn't back them up to the cloud, and you didn't send them all kinds of places. And I was like, forget that. This is free. Like, they allow you to print 80 photos for free. And all you have to do is pay for shipping and handling.
So what do you do with the photo? We're totally off the rails, but this is great. This is great. This is memories. This is great. This is self-care. This is self-care. You're right.
What I do then is I take them in, again, so old school. Who does this? I put them in photo albums.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to do that and send photo albums to all my aunts and my mom for the event. Because that's what I was talking about doing. I just never got around to it. I'm like, and you, like you said, I'm like, who prints photos now?
Nobody prints photos. But think about it. Like, the memory means so much. Like, think about when you were a kid, right? And your parents had all those photo albums. You could literally see your family history in those photos.
That just happened actually when I went to New York for my mom's 90th birthday, and we were at my Aunt Willie's house, and she pulled out all of us were around. We were all sitting on the floor like little kids with photo albums everywhere. Like, who?
Aunt Willie was like, "Come on, baby, look at this."
Exactly.
Look at your
and they remember
party.
Everything. They remember everything. This is when we were at Mr. So-and-so's house, and it was amazing. And like you said, nobody was scrolling through a phone. It was physical pictures.
Yes.
And I was asking where all the clothes were.
You're like,
I was like, where's that coat?
You're like, so the vintage fashion.
Exactly. Oh no.
No, I was gonna say that and even in one of my challenges, I did this challenge a couple years ago where I asked people, one of the prompts was they had to look in their phone for like a throwback photo of themselves and write about that particular photo, like the feeling.
Mm.
Because you know how it is when you see certain photos that you haven't seen in a long time. It's like that rush of, I remember like who was there at the party. I remember the dress that I wore, or it's just such a good euphoric feeling, hopefully, right, that the old school, the photo brings back. So now imagine taking that memory from in your head and in this photo and now transferring it to paper and writing a story about it. It's like, it's a great, that's family history right
That's
there, right? That's
beautiful.
something that you can now share with your siblings, or your mom, or just that maybe it becomes a letter and it's like, this is one of my favorite memories and I want you to have it. Like, to me, that's everything. I love sentimental things in that way. It's not the big flashy things to me. It's more so like those sentimental things that mean so much to me, especially stories.
I love it. That is beautiful. I love
Thank
that.
you.
So now talking about journaling and collecting stories and all of that, some people might be listening or watching and think, oh, well, I don't know how to do that. I always say let go of the how, but we still, all of us get caught up on it. I don't know how to do that, or I don't know the right way. So is there a right and a wrong way to journal?
I think that's the beauty of journaling. There is no right or wrong way. I think it is a matter of you just sitting down. Like, if you want to, so some people I know, they have like a ritual where they either write in the morning when they have their tea or coffee, or they write before bedtime. For me, journaling just kind of happens when I need it to. It's not like before bed or in the morning. It's like, I need this moment right now to write down
Mhm.
what I'm feeling. So I'm going to use it. And then like, people now have this thing called the bullet journal. So it's not even like you doing full on prose and writing a letter to yourself. It's more like, here's a bullet or an emoji, and it's like the heart means something I loved, and maybe the X means an event or something. I'm probably getting it wrong, but that's, people just bullet journal in that way. And then journaling doesn't always have to be in my mind anyway. You could, maybe you're not ready to journal about your day to day. Maybe things are like a little bit too stressful, but maybe you want to journal about family, right? You're journaling about something that's happening right now in your family. I think in the quarantine, we are all getting to know each other
Mhm.
a lot
More
better,
than you even want to.
more than we wanted to know. And it's like, there are those moments that maybe we want to forget, and then those moments that we want to remember. Like,
Mhm.
I was telling you the story about my son and I having a disagreement, but then settling it over a game of cards. And I feel like for me, that's going to be a special quarantine memory, because I don't know if, if we weren't in the quarantine, would we have settled it that way? We're forced to be in here together. We cannot leave except for essentials. So that was a moment that I want to always remember and cherish. I'm not going to have a photo of it, but journaling about it means that I've now expressed how I felt, in terms of, being his mom and seeing him take this proactive approach with our relationship. And it's like, let's put the brakes on it. Let's not do the normal thing that we do. Like, you speak, I speak, then voices get louder, and then we don't hear each other. But we took that moment, and it's like, oh, now this becomes this beautiful thing that I can now write about. So there's absolutely no wrong way to journal. Maybe you want to journal about career, and you want to really track how you're moving. That's a great way too. Maybe you're tracking, like, you're moving up the ladder, you see yourself progressing, and it's also a way to affirm and manifest. I think we write down what we want. You mentioned before about the I am journals, like, you always
Mhm.
start your journal with I am. That's
Yeah.
a way to do it. Maybe if I do my gratitude prayers, but I also realize that you could absolutely have a gratitude journal. You want to start off your journal with things that you are thankful for. And it's like, in this time, we're thankful for family and friends who are healthy, because we see so many people on our timelines who aren't healthy. We see people who are like, they were here today and you heard that they were diagnosed, and then it's like they're gone. And it's like, what do you do with all of that? How do you process that thing? So we have to be extremely grateful that we have family and friends who are healthy, and pray for the improved health for those who aren't. So, maybe your journal is just your prayers, things that things that you want to have your private conversations with God about. And it's like, there is so many, I think, different ways for you to think about how you want to journal. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just do it. Get yourself, you can have a cute little notebook with your face on it. I have all kinds of notebooks. Okay. I have like the spiral, regular schmegular.
Right.
What was it? Like 79 cent in Target,
Right.
yellow mead. This is the old school mead. Like,
Right.
I just have so many that it's like you choose how you want to, I guess, represent your thoughts. And I think the thing to me is that the biggest benefit of journaling, and I'm not sure if we want to get into this, but it helps to rewire your brain sometimes.
Yes, I was going to say one of the things that was a perfect share. And I think one of the things that you said too that really resonated with me was about this idea of processing. So sometimes I know for me, like you said, I write in the morning, sometimes I write in the evening, sometimes I don't, sometimes it's middle of the day, sometimes I've gone, not now, but before, gone somewhere and spent a whole day journaling. But it's all about processing, right? And sometimes for me, just getting it out, seeing it on paper, whatever I'm thinking, the fears, or even if it's not a traumatic or dramatic situation, it might just be just needing to get the thoughts out or see it on paper so I can think something through. The journal is there. And as we said, the journal doesn't judge you. So you can be free to share what you really feel or what you're really thinking about whoever or about yourself, whatever the fears are or the goal is. Even the goals, I think sometimes are harder for us to share, right? Dreams and things like that. So I think that's a great part of it too, especially now with what we're all going through with the pandemic. Just like you said, this idea of it helps you process things to get it, and rewiring, to your point,
Oh
your
my
thinking.
goodness. I cannot forget. So I just had a conversation with, to make it seem like I had just talking to Lettucey because we're friends.
Just
No,
a casual
I was,
conversation with Lettucey. No, she
I was
called and sang to me the other night.
exactly. I had an interview. I was interviewing Lettucey for Essence, and we started talking. You know how the conversation, the interview ends, and then you just start kind of talking, especially if you hit it off with someone. So we hit it off, and we started talking about journaling. And she said to me that for her, journaling is a chance to see who she is. And I thought that was a beautiful way to put it, right? Because it could be you're looking at yourself in this moment and how you're processing whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it's the quarantine, whether it's, maybe you are quarantined by yourself and Boo is on the other side of town and he's an essential worker. And you're like, yeah, we're going to make sure we keep this distance because you up in them hospitals and we just want to be safe. So it's like, you're able to see who you are. And what you said is so important too. You take the thoughts that you're having and you transfer them. So there's some level of ease. It doesn't take the pain away from maybe something that you've experienced, but it can help to transfer your feelings from your heart or your head, that anxiety that you might have about something. You're transferring it to a piece of paper. And it's like, we talked about this before. Sometimes you got to transfer it and let it go. Like
And
burn
let
it
it go.
up,
Exactly.
tear it.
Burn it up, tear it up, throw it away, shut it down.
Exactly.
Back it up, flip it.
Exactly. Back it up, flip it, rub it down. Oh no. I'm done with it.
Right. That's right. So tell us how prompts work in the journal. And Taiia is going to take us through some prompts. This is like my favorite part, even though I love talking to Taiia, can do it for hours. But tell us how the prompts work for people who don't know. And then we'll go through a few of them for everybody watching and listening to journal a little bit.
Sure. So I have some prompts let me show the book. This is Love You Mean It, a self-love journal. And there are 20 prompts in the book, and I chose some specific ones for this podcast because I thought this would be fun for you to do, E, and especially for the listeners. So, I'm all extra. So my prompt is just not like some dry toast prompt. So the prompt has a name.
The prompt has a name, and the prompt
Right.
means it's something that gets us thinking, like in order to prompt us to start writing, to have something to write about.
Exactly. See?
Okay.
It's that Pisces connection, a Pisces connection.
I know.
So this first one is called Making Happy. So Moses delivered the 10 Commandments long before blasting your ex on social media became a petty thing to do. But aside from not coveting that sister's curl pattern or her bae, what are we going to, in the book it says 10 commandments, but let's just do Three. So what are your three commandments for living a happy life? Write about them
Ooh.
here.
So your
So,
3 commandments for living a happy life.
right.
All right,
So
everyone.
there's no right or wrong answer. This is really tailored to the individual because we all need, want, and desire different things. So, oh, who's setting the timer? Do you want me to
You
set
do
the
the
timer?
timer, everybody. I
Okay.
have this video friendly music, so don't laugh at my music. We had some Taiia and I did this before in a private group. We were really grooving, and we were like, oh shoot, we don't have copyright rights. So we got
Exactly.
some good music here. So everyone, hopefully in the intro I have remembered to tell you all to get your pen and paper. I didn't in video, but on a podcast, get your pen and paper. I got my journal here, like I
Yes.
already wrote it down, my chicken
Get
scratch.
your get your
Making
pretty
happy,
journal, get
your
your
pretty, get your
regular
scratch
schmegular,
paper, and write. We
put
we
just
Ti and I
write.
are fans of actual writing. Don't
Yes.
type it in your
Don't
phone,
type
all
it in.
right?
Just write it.
Just wait till you get a journal. Pause this, whatever you need to do. But we're gonna write for 2 minutes, right,
2 minutes. Okay. And I'm
and y'all are gonna
setting
jam to my.
your
Just wait
YouTube
till you hear
approved
this.
music.
You just.
It's not Mary. It's not Drake.
It's
We
not
want
very. It's just.
YouTube approved
It
music.
is. Yes. All right. 3 commandments for a happy life.
Yes. And the
Ready?
timer starts now.
All right. Uh-oh. Oh, I guess I should press play.
Yes, where's the music?
Okay. You hear it? All right. 3 commandments, everybody. You're supposed to be writing right now.
Okay, we have 30 seconds left on our writing
Okay.
time. I feel like a teacher when I say that.
You do feel like pens down, pens down.
Right. I'm
Okay.
trying to say it really soothing so
Is
it's not
it? And see,
jarring.
I'm okay. Sorry, and I'm being all silly. Okay. Very serious.
You're fine.
Okay.
Okay, there's our timer.
Okay, there's our timer. How y'all like my soul groove there?
That was very, sounds like YouTube approved music there. They were like,
I
mm-hmm.
know YouTube better give me no problem. They like nobody else is gonna. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay, so I have to share. I guess nobody else gonna share. All right, so everyone, we're doing our making happy 3 commandments for a happy life. So I
Yeah.
have to be honest. First of all, it took me a minute. Well, I guess I only had 2 minutes, right? I probably would have taken longer if I knew I had longer time. That's what's
Right.
interesting about this. You don't necessarily think about your commandments for a happy life. So what I wrote is focus. This might sound kind of okay. Don't you said don't qualify, right?
Right.
Focus on joy and love. And I said, it is at the center of everything I do. And I wrote that because joy is really my word for 2020, even though it's been a crazy year. Maybe it's great that it's my word because I try to
Right.
really focus on that, especially
We
now
all
when you
need
can,
that.
yeah, when you get in the just the craziness of everything. And love too, because I try to make sure that even when things don't go the way I want to, maybe it's, a relationship. I recently got out of a relationship, or whatever it is, a business, even a business deal or whatever, I try to say that I come from a place of love or a place of fear. And I always try to say, come from a place of love so that I can walk away saying, okay, well, that didn't work out, but I know I did everything I, needed to do. I try to be fair. I try to be all those things I feel like are tied up in the love of things. So that was one. Is that
Absolutely.
good? Okay.
That was very good.
Okay. The other one was never compromise who I am and be sure to know who I am.
Ooh.
And I think that's something that came with snaps,
Yeah, snap,
snaps,
snap.
snaps. I think that's something that came with, like you said, with me in my 40s. I felt like well, in our 20s, we think we know everything. And
Right.
then your 30s is
Uh,
like, so no, you don't.
You found out
30s
you
teaches
know
you all the things you
nothing.
don't know. Exactly. Then 40s is like when you become okay with it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this is who I am. And I feel like in the past year, especially, I was challenged on who I am and told, oh, you're this kind of
Mm,
person or you're that. And I had to know, like, that's not who I am.
right.
Even if someone is receiving you a certain way, it's so important for you to know who you are. Otherwise, you might start to change or, question yourself or that kind of thing. So I think I'm gonna post these TI on my vision board. This is
I think
good.
you should.
Yeah.
And I think going back to Lettucey's point, you look at
Get to
those
know.
journals after. So your one of your commandments is like knowing who you are, right? So when you
Mm-hmm.
look at your journal is going to reflect back to you who you are. So someone's tried to tell you who Elayne is or who this is who I think you are, and it's like, nope, I've already written it down in the journal.
Right, exactly.
This is
It says right here.
right.
Exactly.
We're supposed to be the authors of our own lives. Like remember back when I had my book in called Famous, and my hashtag then when I was using was be the star of your show. And like your show, people would say, "Oh, what's your show?" And it's like your show is your
Your
life.
life,
Be the
right?
star of your life. And I think that when you are the star of your life in your show, it's really hard for other people's ideas and opinions of you to affect you because you're really solid in who you are. And I think if you journal, you get some of that back to you. Yes, you're going to see your fears and your insecurities, but you're also going to see your strengths. You're going to see your accomplishments. You're going to see what you have done. I think if we just took a minute to even look from January until where we had to be quarantined, I was doing a lot and I was happy. I was grooving. I was like, yes, this 2020 vision is all of that. Until I was like, just
Right.
like,
Halt.
and it's like, stay inside.
Right.
And so it is a chance to really to reflect. So did we get all three? Or was that
Okay,
just
my
two?
last one is dare to dream even when the dreams seem impossible.
Yes, I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
because that's another one of, I think that kind of comes down to knowing myself and, sometimes being talked out of or someone trying to, and for whatever reason, sometimes it's people who want you to be safe or don't want you to be disappointed or want you to stay as you are. But, I know one of my commandments for being happy is I have to be able to dream, even whatever happens, letting go of the outcome. I have to be able to dream.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know how to function without dreaming. Plus, I'm a Pisces, we
Right.
always
No,
dreaming up.
and we're dreaming, we're
We're
creating.
daydreamers. Yeah, exactly. It's just like I would not be able to breathe without being able to dream.
And I think for us, especially not being tied to the outcome is so important because if we're tied to the outcome being X, like it has to be that it ends in the promotion, it has to be that it ends in me
Mhm.
getting married, it has to be it ends in a date, then we're going to like we're always going to prevent ourselves from doing it because there's always going to be that, oh well, it
Oh,
might
what
not
if it
end right
exactly?
in
Yeah.
the date kind of thing. And you don't want to be scared of that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So what's our next
All
prompt?
right. So that was making happy.
Making happy. And everyone, this is from Tia's Love You Mean It journal. I'm going to
Yes.
tell you where to get that. So she has
Yes.
you have the print version and you're
And
updating your ebook version, right?
right. The ebook version is available as well. And that is a fillable PDF. But what I have been learning, see, in my own creative little bubble is that, and I should have listened to my sister because she was like, everyone's going to want a print version because
I
journaling is about
I
writing,
know. That's why I'm like, we
writing
all
in the
want.
book, writing in the
Exactly. If you
book.
can't wait. But yeah, no, that's good
Exactly.
though. We love the
And that
print
was
version.
what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, but people can't wait. And she's like, no.
Mhm.
She was like, I'm not gonna tell you I told you so, but I
But I
told you
told
so.
you so. Exactly.
Okay. So
Okay.
this one is called The Best Gift Ever. So everything in your life, work, laundry, social media, your wants your attention, right? There's things that are competing for your time. Your bae, your elderly neighbor who needs some groceries, everyone's competing for your time. But how do you prioritize yourself or give yourself the much needed gift of me time? And that's an interesting challenge right now in the quarantine because we can't go places. So we might only be going to, those of us who live in cities, we might only be going to the laundromat. We might only be going to the grocery store, maybe CVS to get some medicine, get those birth control pills, whatever it is.
Right, whatever you gotta do, right.
Whatever you gotta
Errands
do.
are our escape right now.
Exactly. Those are our escape. But how do you prioritize the gift of me time in the quarantine? And that might be really hard for people who have multiple children or just, they're working from home and they're homeschooling. Like I really feel for those folks
Yes.
because I know that's not easy. But what do you do? Or maybe you're an essential worker. You work in a hospital. You are a person in law enforcement and you are out in these streets protecting folk. So how do you do that? So again,
That's
2
great.
minutes, right, E?
2 minutes. Okay. I got that one. That's a good one. All right.
So.
Here we go with some more. We're ready to jam. Here we go.
this approved playlist that's going on right
Exactly.
here.
Let's try this one.
I am ready. Got it? Okay. Set.
You got it?
Set the timer. Yes, for now. Gives me very 70s vibe.
Oh, okay. You hear it? Okay.
2 minutes starts now.
All right. I'm not sure about these sound effects. I don't know where. I just noticed that.
We're just confused. We're just concerned about getting through on YouTube. We're not concerned about all that.
Oh, we're trying to play by the rules, which we don't do very well.
All right, that would be the chime.
All right.
We are now done our 2 minutes. And as you can see, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that's not enough time. So that's why having your journal and having your own space to write freely is really important because but look at what you can accomplish in 2 minutes. Look at what you've done, E, in 2 minutes. But like, think about if you're just able to relax and have time to just connect with yourself, you're able to dig so much deeper.
Yeah, for sure. If you could sit for a few minutes, I'm just envisioning a cup of tea and think about the prompt. And you should do an audiobook for this, Taiia.
Ooh. Don't get me started.
Yes.
That'd be dope, right?
Listening like daily.
We'll talk. Give me an idea. I'm gonna try try a little audio. Audio prompt.
Trust me. Listen, it works, girl. I have living proof.
Listen, we have to hit all mediums.
You see, queen of all. I told you. Channeling Oprah. I'm trying to be queen of all media, right?
All media.
Yes, podcasts and everything. No, for sure. But I'd love to hear just a daily prompt audio. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Offline. Sidebar. So the best gift ever. How do you prioritize yourself? I love this one. I love all of them, but let me pick this up. So by the mic. One of my things has been for about, I would say, even when I was with the guy I was dating, that was maybe I guess for the past 6 or 7 months has been maybe even longer, but getting up before everyone. And by everyone, not even just the
Mm,
people in the house, but feeling like it's not everyone literally, but when you go out and there's like maybe two people outside because it's 4 in the morning
right.
or, 5 o'clock or so. At one point I was getting up at 4. So I could work out at 5 and all that. And I used to always be like, I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. And I still don't know if I am, but
Mhm.
getting up that early feels amazing just because you feel like you're getting up before everybody starts moving around. So I
Yes.
used to get up at 5 to go to the gym. Now the gym is closed, so I get up at 6, but it actually is on time with I'm out here in the country, so it's on time with the birds. They start chirping at 6 a.m. on the dot. It's amazing. Like every day, six
That is
a.m.
beautiful.
Isn't that crazy? They
I
start
have to see
chirping.
what time the pigeons start their routine out here in
The
Brooklyn.
dirty birds.
Right.
Yeah.
What time did the dirty birds get
Yeah.
started?
What time did the dirty birds turn up? Do you have a like a terrified fear of pigeons?
Because they're gross.
Because they're flying rats. Okay,
Yes, they're
sorry.
flying
They're
rats
flying
and they
rats. But
carry
what time do
disease.
they turn up? They probably get started at 6 p.m. like for happy hour.
I bet you I could have a pigeon knock on my terrace door and be like, get up.
Like
Let's
what
go.
is
Let's
going
go
on?
work out, kid. Said you
Exactly.
wanted to work out.
Exactly. Pigeons in New York are gang. Like a truck could drive by and they'd be looking like, I'm
They
not
are so
moving. You gotta
gangster.
drive around me. I love it. But that is my thing. And then with the boundaries, I can't remember if this was how I prioritize myself too, is I used to worry a lot about hurting people's feelings when asking for boundaries,
Mm,
right? So I still try, I try to be nice. So I still try not to be hurtful, but I have to prioritize my boundaries. So if I don't feel like whatever it is, going to a movie or going out or going to brunch or the other things we used to be able to do, it's easier now.
right.
Introverts are loving it now. But even still, even with family, whatever, you have to be, for me, I realize I still have to be okay being like, I don't feel like doing that now, but maybe there's another thing, or just no, like we've talked about before, no
Yes.
is a full
No
sentence.
is a full sentence.
So that's helped me prioritize. And again, I think that's something for me that came with age. It's not always easy, but I feel better about it knowing that, okay, I stood up for myself, or am doing things that really bring me joy.
Hmm. No.
Try to learn how to do that. What is it for you? What is it for you? How do you prioritize yourself for people to get
You
other
know,
ideas?
I think, okay, so pre-quarantine, now that I have all this hair, because for 20 years I, was down with short hair, don't care movement. Now
Right.
that I have all this hair, love me a YouTube tutorial and I will play around. Listen, my hair has been blue, it has been purple. I didn't like I think I didn't like the yellow, so I took that out. I washed
I
that
didn't
out.
see the yellow.
No one's seen the yellow because
Oh, okay.
it
That's
didn't
why.
work out right. It didn't work out right. I was looking a little bit like Big Bird's, chocolate sister,
Crazy.
and it was not right. So it was like, nope, we're not gonna do that one. But that was like I can't even say that was pre-quarantine because I still enjoy doing that now. But just like for me, spending time with myself. So I'm maybe listening to a podcast. Maybe I'm listening to Support is Sexy
Support is
while I'm
sexy.
doing my hair, right? Or I'm listening to music, or I'm big on audiobooks. And it's just a time for me to relax because it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy playing around with my hair. I'm like, oh, I missed out on all these years of not having hair. So it's like, let me see if this twist out is going to come out right. Let me see if this blue is going to look right. And that's just a chance for me to connect with myself. But what I've also noticed is that with the journal and the workshop, so I did the Love You Mean It live journaling workshop, which was great. And then one of my friends from college saw that I was doing that, and he said, hey, would you do something for my students at my school? Because we're all feeling disconnected. They need something to connect to. And so I was like, what can I create for them? And so I created this workshop called Right Now, playing off of the word right,
Mm-hmm.
writing. And it's called Stories from the Quarantine. And so it is a chance that I noticed is a chance. It's weird for me to think of it maybe as me time, but for me, I've noticed that giving something to others, where it's like you give your gift to
Mm-hmm.
others and they're able to enjoy it and then get something out of it, that has really fulfilled me and sustained me because it's like, I'm an ambivert. So I have that introverted side where it's like, leave me alone. let me
Mhm.
just get this book and be quiet in this corner over here. But then I also have this other side where it's like, I want to do the thing. I want to make the thing. I want to share the thing. And
Mhm.
so um, doing that with these workshops has really been a gift to me because it's like, it reaffirms that I'm not alone. Other people, other women, men, young people are struggling with the same thing. And so it's like, how do I give them the gift of journaling and the gift of writing to themselves? And so that in a weird way has been, um, part of my me time.
No, that's beautiful. And that I'm not surprised. It's such a giving person. That makes so much sense because they say, giving helps us as much as the other person, unless you're a sociopath, obviously. Helps, but being able to give to people. And I think you and I may have talked about this before we started, just this idea right now during quarantine and everything that's going on. A lot of us, I think, especially as creatives, but I'm sure everyone, but especially as creatives are looking at how can I get, like, how can I serve? What can I do? How
Yes.
can I still even remain creative, but also help people? So I'm so glad you found that. That's beautiful.
Listen,
I love that.
remember one day, like last week, we were on the phone and you were like, what are you doing? Because you have heard me knocking on the door. So I was delivering groceries in my
Oh,
building
right, right.
to all of my neighbors. And like, that's another thing that's like, even though, yes, it's exhausting. I live in like one of the tallest buildings in Brooklyn and it's exhausting. And we have over 300 apartments in here, just to be able to we have this partnership with this grocery store that is now like Fresh Direct send us groceries. It's amazing to be able to say, you know what, we have 2 bags of groceries for every apartment in this building. And that makes me feel good to be able to be like, and mind you, I have nothing to do with the partnership in terms of setting it up or anything, but my little part is every Wednesday I'm challenged, I have the task of delivering groceries to folks in the building.
I love that. And Taiia, Taiia was serious about her job. Listen, knocking like police at the door. She's like,
Knocking like
groceries, go, go,
groceries,
go, groceries.
because mind you, we're still
Social
practicing social
distancing.
distancing.
Right. You're
So
like,
I
you're
didn't
not
want
going to get to
anyone
this
to
door
come
while
to
I'm
the door.
here.
Yes, because
I love that though.
quick story, when we first started it, and so we were kind of like going around the building doing a survey, and so one woman came to the door and she was like, yeah, she said something that made us think that she was diagnosed with COVID. So me and the tenant in the building, we moved back like wait,
Mhm.
what? Like, why are you answering the door then? Close the
Right.
door.
Close the door. Goodbye.
But she didn't mean that. She meant like she was a vulnerable population, and so her doctor told her that she should be self quarantining.
Oh,
But the
okay.
way she said it made us think like she was sick, and so we were like, oh, you know how you do the okay, you just start
Okay.
backing
Thank
up.
you. Oh my gosh. No, but
Right.
that's great. But like you said, it's a way of finding our own ways of giving back and being of service to people. And people appreciate it. Like I'm sure those folks are going to appreciate
Yes,
the notes from you, and that's the
they
thing.
do.
Like with me, my thing is bringing people on to talk about different topics like this. It's just like,
Yes,
it's
like
just
the wind
figuring out a
down.
way.
That does
Yeah.
something for,
Figuring out a way to offer something to people during this
yes.
time.
No,
Excellent. I love it.
it's brilliant. I love the
All
wind down
right.
too.
Prompt number
Okay,
3.
prompt number 3.
I have
All
something
right,
special for y'all. Let me
this
see.
one is a big one because this one
Uh-oh.
is difficult for us to do. Okay, so the name of this prompt is called "Sorry is all that you can't say." We all know the
Mm.
song, right? So sometimes it's easier to forgive others, your Lyft driver, your professor, or your accountant, for a small mistake. It's easier to forgive them than it is to forgive yourself. So write an overdue apology letter to yourself about X. Told you it was hard. Told you it was hard. But we need to do it.
Mm-mm.
We need to forgive ourselves.
Oh,
So
Ti is gonna make me misty. Cry about forgiving myself. No, that really struck a chord. You did that last time too. There's always one zinger. She's always
right.
got one zinger. Okay, so
Okay.
everyone, sorry is all that you can't say, but we're
Right.
talking about writing a long overdue apology to ourselves
Ourselves. Okay.
about anything, right?
About anything, right? It could be something you said. It could have been just, it's the apology to yourself. It's not about to the other person. It's the
Person.
apology to yourself. Maybe you hung on to regret too long. Maybe you didn't speak to someone for a really long time, and it's like you want to give yourself the gift of saying, I'm sorry that I did that to you, right? It's how
Hmm.
often do we say sorry to ourselves? We're so, we say sorry like really, really frivolously, like, oh, I'm sorry I missed your phone call. Sorry sorry I wasn't able to come to your event. Sorry I wasn't, whatever. But it's like, when do we say a meaningful apology to ourselves? You know, when we do it right now.
We do it right now in these 2 minutes as
In
you
these
listen
2 minutes,
to this
right?
bomb YouTube soundtrack.
Put on
Okay.
that soundtrack, that fire soundtrack,
All
sponsored
right.
by D Nice. Go ahead. Okay, 2 minutes
Right.
starts now.
All right.
Okay, we have about 45 seconds left. Okay, that's the sounds of the chimes.
All right. Pins down.
Hands down. And now we share.
And now we
And now we share.
class, anyone want to go first? Elayne raises hand.
Elayne.
All right. So that was even in just that 2 minutes. And as Taiia said, this is definitely one I probably would have reflected on longer. But in a way, I kind of like writing it. It just
Right.
makes you, because usually the first thing that comes to mind, and then for me, I start talking myself out of, oh no, I don't want to do that. And I got to
Right.
share. And then but I just wrote the first thing. So I'm just going to read what I wrote.
Yes, please.
Okay. I said, I'm sorry that I've given you a hard time for not being where you want to be yet, to underline that, in your business, for making you question whether your career choices were right or wrong, and whether you are enough and doing enough. And I said, I am sorry. You are more than enough. You are giving it your all. You are doing your best.
Wow, look at how beautiful that is in such a short amount of time. And it's like, I felt like you got to the heart of the thing because it was only 2 minutes. You didn't have a lot to like time to beat around the bush. You were like, let me get to the heart of it. And so it's like, look at the apology that you have for yourself, because look at what you've built, like, right, in comparison to what the negativity and the doubts and the fears were, in comparison to what you've built. Like, Supported Sexually has over 700,000 downloads. You have now interviewed Misty Copeland, you've interviewed Kamara A Unique, one of our favorite makeup artists, right? You've interviewed so many women. Like, the titles alone, I'm always intimidated, but I'm like, wow, she created that, or she's the CEO of that. And so I just think that you have to give yourself that gift of, you know what, I, like you said, I am enough, and I did the damn thing. Look at you, I did it. And you're like, and I'm going to do it across all platforms.
And here's how we're going to do it. But that's a thank you for that. I received that. Thank you for that. And this is wonderful. Again, I'm going to post this. I'm going to have all kinds of Taiia note stuff all over my vision board is up here.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, but again, it's this is why we're going to talk about products for you too. But this is but yeah, I never, and I think what you just said is so profound about how I probably would have if not definitely beat around the bush, if not that, at least taking 3 or 4 pages to get to this, as
Right.
opposed to, okay, the chime is going to go off. I got 2 minutes. What do you really want
Right.
to say? Which is what we probably need to do in more of our conversations with people, right? Like, this is really what I want to say. I'm sorry for these things. And
Right.
I just keep looking at it. It's just like that felt really powerful. It felt good
Yeah.
to hear that from myself. And I think we all, it might look different for all of us, but have these things where we question ourselves, certainly, or like you said, negative self talk is just what your journal is all about, us getting rid of, and quick to say we're not doing enough or we did something wrong or making. I think, I don't know, what do you think about this? That comes too in your 40s, like you start looking back on choices and wonder, or maybe
Yes.
it's just me. I was gonna say maybe it's just me, or wonder like, dang, if I
No.
had taken that job with Diddy or whatever it is, like
Right.
where would I be right now? Would it, and I try to keep in perspective too, it might be worse if I had said yes to some of
Right.
those things, right?
And that's the thing, not being, again, we talked about
Never
not being tied to
to,
the outcome.
that's
No,
right.
I've had that moment, like when I got laid off, probably for the second time, like, you know what, if I had stayed at Girls Inc. and not going back into the publishing industry, I probably would be a vice president at Girls Inc. right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, right, but would I have gotten to this place in knowing who I am in terms of my purpose and my mission? Right. I don't know that if would I have stayed at Girls Inc., would that have come through for me? I think that I'm still able to enjoy the things that I loved about being a part of Girls Inc. Like I loved doing workshops, and I feel like I learned how to do workshops from
Right.
Girls Inc. I learned how to write speeches at Girls Inc. So those things that I learned how to do for someone else, I now do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right. So it's a matter of taking that thing and that joy that you love and still being able to nurture it and build it. Because had I not learned how to create workshops, and this is for, mind you, these are like, so I worked for the national office of Girls Inc. And so we were responsible for training 1,000 satellite offices across the country in messaging and branding and press releases and all of that. And it's like, if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have the skills that I have now to use for myself in my business. Like I wouldn't know how to write speeches had I not written speeches for the CEO of the company, excuse me, of the nonprofit. And it's like, yeah, all these things, they make me feel good about myself, and they make me, it's part of my self-love process
Mm-hmm.
because I love helping people tell their stories. And I think I told you before, when I worked at Juicy, Paula would always be like, okay, you work with that person because you got time, you got patience, you want to you want to help them get their stories together. And when you're working, it's like there's not always that time to do that. It's not always that time to, especially when you're on deadline. You don't always have time to go back and tell a writer to rewrite something or let them know where they may have missed the mark. But that's what we benefited from, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was old school, what we benefited from, when we had to pay a lot of dues before anybody was trying to give us a byline
That's right.
somewhere,
It
right?
wasn't no just write for free and you can write anything, no fact checking,
No.
no nothing. Yeah. You had to
I,
come with it.
I remember getting, and this is sidetracking, but I remember getting a little sidebar assigned to me by Audrey Edwards. And I think it might have been 100 words. And I was like, ooh, I need to make this the best 100
Exactly.
words
Exactly.
that
Let
have
me make sure everything is right.
ever been written, right?
Yes.
And so
I
I just
remember that.
think about that time and that gift of her time helping me with my 100 words, making my 100 words sing. And so that gift of being able to help someone else. And the reason why in my business, I emphasize short books. And when I say short, I mean like 150 pages max, is because when you are a first time author, if this is not what you do, this whole process is intimidating, period.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage them to write a short, powerful book, because it's like, okay, short, we can do, we can carve out exactly what your story is, because you're thinking like, oh, well, I gotta talk about the time when we got the barbecue, and it's like, no, you don't, because barbecue is not important to the story.
Right. Focus. Yes.
Focus. If your story is about you leaving this church that you've been at for 20 years, let's keep it focused. If the barbecue is not essential, the baby shower, the wedding, let's keep it out of it, and let's really focus. And that's the gift, I think, that I use to help people tell their stories.
What kind of gift do you hope Love You Mean It journal is to the women who, and men can use it too, right? But I know
Yes, they
your target
absolutely.
is
Right. My
women, or
target is
men could buy
women.
it for, yeah, buy
Right.
it for some women. So what do you hope then the gift of the journal is to the women you hope to serve?
I hope that they are able to love themselves, forgive themselves, accept themselves. And it's the thing about this for me is that it now becomes, it's like you're the author of the book, right? I
Mm,
created this, but as you look through the pages, all of the stories about you. And so you're now the author of this book. There's a section in here called Dear Me, where it's just a page for you to write a letter to yourself about anything. So let's say that there's a prompt that maybe it inspires another thought about something you wanted to write to yourself. So you just go to your Dear Me page and you write down whatever that little love note is to yourself. Like it's like, oh, Elayne, I need to be queen of all media. Don't forget that. And
mhm.
and you're writing that letter to yourself. And so that's really my gift is that it becomes this place of it's a safe space. I'm writing down these kick-ass love notes to myself, and it's a chance for you to go back and reflect, like Legacy said. This becomes who you are, and it's
Mhm.
written by you. I think that's the thing, that we're so busy with being influenced, right,
Yes.
on social media by other
Mhm.
people, then that we all get caught up in it. It's like, oh, I want a body like Beyonce, I want arms like Michelle Obama, I want, I want this. Oh, relationship goals, I want a husband like Barack. And it's like, okay, that's, we're being influenced by all those other things, but really, is that what we want? Because we have to figure out who we are to figure out what it is that we really want. We talked about you wanting to be like Oprah. So maybe it's not, but the part about Oprah that you may not want is that you don't want to be single. You don't want to be, you want to be married. And it's like, yeah, but the acres of land that Oprah has,
Mhm. And the 3,000 trees,
the
I'll take
3,000
that.
trees, I
I'll
will
take it.
take her 3,000 trees.
I
I will
told you the
take,
thing I love about, sorry to interrupt, about
no,
Oprah,
no,
many things, but the thing that I love whenever I see her say now that she's, a woman of a certain age and she's obviously been in her business for a while and she doesn't need to work.
no. Right,
She's always
exactly.
like,
I will
she
take
always,
that part.
I'll take that part. I'll take the part where when people ask her some version of, how are you or how are things? Are you happy? She says some version of, I do nothing that I don't want to do ever
Hello,
now. I do
hello.
and then she says something like, my life is better than you think it is.
Right.
Like it's as good as you think it is. I'm doing better,
I
and it's not
I
a
will,
brag. It's just like it is as wonderful as you think.
right.
I
I would take that.
I will I will take that. Big in that space of just which we should mention isn't just about the money. Obviously the money brings
No.
some freedom of things, but there are plenty of miserable billionaires and millionaires out there.
Hmm.
But getting to that space where it's just like I'm doing the things I love to do, I'm supporting the projects and the people that I love to support, doing the work I love. I have a platform where I can get those things out there. I'm traveling and speaking and doing just that, whatever that space is, that level of fulfillment is really what it is.
And it's
um
also going back to what you said about doing things that bring you joy,
right.
because we all know what it's like to take the gig because we just need the money, or
Hmm.
suffer in a relationship that doesn't serve us because it's just like, oh, we want to say we're in a relationship. And it's like, doing things that only bring you joy. I told you about my girlfriend Paula. Like Paula's like, no, okay, well, I'm not gonna do that, but I look forward to seeing you for one-on-one happy hour when that's
When that's over, not going to that party, but what we can do.
right. What we
That's what they
can
say.
do.
It's either I learned this in momentum. It's either a yes, a no, or you negotiate. So it's like yes, no, or the
I love
negotiation.
that.
So we'll do what we can do is
Yes,
this other thing, or it's a no.
right. Exactly. Because she'll be like, well, I'll be at this bar at this time. So if you would like to come by after that thing,
Come
come
on
on,
through.
come on
I
through.
love it. What would you say, Taiia, that journaling has taught you most about yourself?
I think that it's taught me that, well, two things. One, that I can be really hard on myself, which is why I think it's
Mm,
important for me to, have that piece in there about apologies, because I'm really hard on myself. And I think also when I look back is that I've manifested a lot of the things that I've written about, even from elementary school. Like in elementary school, I said, I'm gonna write for Essence. Right. And I
Mm-hmm.
took that all the way. I remember when I was online and one of my big sisters asked me about one of my goals, and I was like, yeah, I want to be an editor in Essence magazine. Right. So I went from I want to write for Essence to I want to be an editor at Essence magazine. And I felt like me writing in my journal was helping me to affirm and let the universe know and then manifest. So becoming an intern at Essence magazine meant everything to me, because I was like thirsty boots, and they were like, well, what do you want to do after graduation? I was like, work here, have a job here.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all
Exactly. I know
hiring?
that's right. I know that's right. Just
Right.
to be in the building. That's what I told people. I just needed to be in the building.
Exactly. You're like, if I'm vacuuming the floors, I'm
I
going to be looking
just
over someone's computer. Like, oh, you forgot a period. You forgot a
exactly.
comma.
Exactly. I had never, I mean, Essence says, when I say change, I'm not slighting Essence. Don't anybody think that. Just that Taiia and I were there back in the
Back
90s.
in the
The
90s.
90s. Oh my God. So it was a different time. It was still, well, it's Black owned again now. It's Black owned then, though, by the original owners then. And just for me, I'll speak for myself. I had never been, even going to Hampton, a
Right.
Black college and university, being in a professional environment by all of these brilliant Black women.
Yes.
I had never seen, I'm talking about everybody who doesn't know, Taiia knows, but brilliant
Brilliance.
women. And it's not that you didn't know they existed, but they were all in one place. It
They
was
were
just sort
in,
of like
and they
Essence
were
needed to be
so
the secret
different.
headquarters. It's like having a president and a vice president one. Like if
Yes.
somebody blew that place up, it would be all over for the Black arts. It
Yes.
was just like, it was amazing writers there, or writers that we got to work with, or people, like authors that it just was. I got goosebumps, honestly, thinking about it. I'm so glad and grateful to have been there, not only to meet people like you, but what we've been talking about. You've heard us mention just how we were taught to, as editors and writers during that time, is different than, it just was a
Yeah.
different time. We didn't even have the internet when we first were there, right?
No.
It
Who
just is,
who was using Google to fact
we didn't
check? Do
even,
you remember that
girl,
Zerrell Barnes was using like books?
that's exactly to fax people to fact check. And people were calling. I was in the entertainment department. People would call you to pitch. There were no
Yes.
emails. People would have to
What?
get on the horn and
What?
call you to pitch. So it
Listen,
just was an amazing time to be
it
there.
was an amazing time. There were so many, the Black women there were so different, right? Because and they all had different work styles. So I don't. Were you a editorial assistant for multiple editors? Because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
again, each woman's style,
Style was
right?
different.
Rosemary's style was different from
Yeah, I was with
Valerie's style.
Rosemary.
Valerie's style was different from Pamela. And it was like you get to who's is that my phone? Whose phone is ringing?
That's yours, I think.
Okay, that was my
That's you,
okay.
big time.
But I don't understand how it's I have my phone on mute. Oh, Apple, my computer. That's
Oh
why.
yeah.
Sorry about that. Apple. So each woman was different and you had to learn how she expected things to go. And I think working under women who had high expectations
Mm-hmm.
makes you rise to the occasion, and you want to impress these women and you want to show them that you're worthy of being even their editorial assistant. And I never like fetched coffee and stuff like that, but it was always a matter of you just wanted to show up and be excellent.
Right. And I was I started as an assistant for Susan Taylor. So that
Oh
was
my
really
God, I
like
forgot.
that was before I moved into like the actual editorial. I was in her. Well, first I was at Income. We're totally just telling y'all our business now, but Income
Income
Opportunity. That
opportunity.
because of the fake mag, not fake. That's terrible to say. The business magazine, and I
Right.
just that was an example of just wanting to be in the building because I wanted to intern at Essence, like you said. But I remember Elayne told me. Elayne was the head of HR. Elayne Williams, right?
Right. Elayne
She was
Williams.
like, they didn't have anything over there, but they have this other magazine. I was like, yep, I'll take it. It was on the same floor as Essence. This is when they were on one floor, and then ended up in Susan's office. But then I was an editorial assistant for Rosemary Robotham, an amazing writer. Everyone look her up.
Yes.
Robin Stone, who is
Still
one of the
is.
toughest
Right.
editors ever and one of the best. Claire McIntosh, who's now at
Yes.
Sisters AARP, and all the Linda Villarosa. I mean,
Yes.
just it was incredible. So gratitude for that time. And like we said, just I feel like to bring it back full circle, love you, mean it is sort of not an homage to Essence, but it just has that spirit of that time of reminding us, as all women, as Black women,
Wait, look
just
at the
to,
little silhouette,
yeah, the little silhouette one.
right?
You got to see the little silhouette.
Doesn't the
Yes,
little
like
silhouette,
the
because
Essence,
it's
yes,
the Essence logo, right? With the woman
exactly.
with the
With the
braids,
one
who everyone thought was Susan Taylor,
who
but that
thought,
actually originated before her. Just a little
right,
history, so
just
everyone
a
knows.
little history, right? She used to always say that's not me. People used to be like, yes, that's you. Girl, yes, that's you,
Exactly.
girl. That's okay. Yes. So tell us, Ti, where can we get the Love You Mean It journal?
You can get, okay, so why did I forget my link? B.
Okay,
Okay.
so the link is, it's okay. That's why we wrote it down. See, this is
That's
why
why
writing
support is
down
sexy,
support is
because
sexy. So everyone, you can get the Love You Mean It journal. It's a bit.ly link, and I'll have a link in the show notes for those watching online and
thank
YouTube. Bit.ly, so bit.ly/buy love you mean it journal. So that's buy, buy as in purchase, love you, you mean it journal. Buy love you mean it journal. So that's the bit.ly link for that. And Taiia's website is taiiasmartyoung.com, right?
yes,
Taiia
yes.
smart because she's so smart, young because she's young at heart. .com.
I like all of this.
Taiiasmartyoung.com. So the journal again is a bit.ly link. So bit.ly, buy love you mean it journal. And you
Yes.
can get it there, send you a beautiful copy. I'm going to buy, I still got to get mine, Taiia. I better hurry up. No, you're going to do another run.
I have to do another
You
run
got to do
now.
another run. I'm like, I
gotta
got
do another
5
run.
girlfriends I done promised on the call. I'm like,
So
I'm going to buy you all a journal.
listen, let's do
So
it.
everyone
Let's do
order
it.
it. You can get your journal. She'll send it to you. It has the prompts like what we mentioned here, and 20 altogether, right?
Yes, 20
20
prompts.
prompts, the love
And
notes.
there are love notes in here. There are spaces for you to write letters to yourself. There are a few
I love it.
quotes from some women that I love. And like this one quote from Janelle Monáe, it says, even if it makes others uncomfortable, I will love who I am. And I feel like that's like my little personal mantra. You know how, remember when Being Mary Jane came out, she used to have those little post-its all over, like that's on a post-it, like just, even if it makes you uncomfortable, even if you don't like it, even if you don't like me, I gotta be T, I gotta be who I am. And that to me like really sums up self-love. I'm gonna be flawed. I'm gonna, I might not be your cup of tea. I'm my cup of tea, and I'm just gonna be who I am.
Beautiful. I was going to ask you for a parting piece of advice, but I think that's it.
Oh, I did it. I read your mind.
Yeah, I know. This is what happens. This is Pisces Connect. Twing. I
Pisces
don't know what that
Connect.
is. One to twin connect. Oh, excellent. Hold on a second, Taiia.
Okay.